Today we're going to be talking about the election and what I think the state of the election is. And more specifically, we're going to be talking about the mistake I think everyone's making with regard to their uh, predictions with regard to Biden and Trump. And that is, I saw today Ben Shapiro, someone who I actually do quite like at times, tweet something I found to be incredibly stupid, and it's a position he's taken more than enough times for me to know that it's a fairly consistent position he has, and that is he believes that any time a candidate loses, it means that people voted against him. Now, he says it as being that when Trump loses, or when Trump wins, it was a referendum on the guy who lost. I find this to be an issue. The reason being, primarily, that people don't vote against candidates. Because hating someone is tiring, frankly. Especially if you don't have someone to be for. When you're against someone, yeah, it can be fun in the moment, but you're not gonna really be a part of the game the whole way through if you don't really have anyone you're rooting for. I like to analogize this to sports. In sports, you have teams you like and you have teams you don't like. With the teams you like, you're going to watch pretty much every game regardless of who the opponent is, whether you're ambivalent to them, completely apathetic, or you hate them. And the ones where the teams you like and the teams you hate come up, those are the ones you're going to watch. Those are the rivalries. Those are the things you're going to want to see. But for the teams you hate, you're really only going to watch the games that come up where you have a team, where the other team is one that you like. If you don't like the team that is going up against the team you hate, it gets boring because you don't have anyone to root for. Instead, you're just rooting against someone, and it frankly is tiring. To relate this back to politics, in 2012, the Republicans were in I would say, a very similar situation to where the Democrats are right now, with their candidate being not someone anyone was really for particularly, and the entire campaign essentially revolving around how much they didn't like the other guy. It was all based on Obama's policy this, all these bad things that, but no one ever really was like, we should vote for Mitt Romney. Or at least very few people were like that. Outside of my home state of Utah, where people were like, well, we should vote for him because same religion, I guess. But beyond that, we have the same scenario coming into here. I think one of the most illuminating statistics that has come out of the election thus far is the statistic that said, the polling that said that more than 40%, a plurality of Biden's voters, are voting for Biden purely to spite Trump. Or at least they're supporting Biden purely to spite Trump. And my immediate reaction to that statistic was that, well, I can't trust those people to actually vote for Biden. Because clearly, they're not motivated by a liking of Biden. And if they get tired, well, they're not going to vote for Biden because they don't want to vote for Biden. Anything that could depress their vote is going to make them not go. They're not motivated. And that's a huge swing, by the way. And I think it's starting to bear itself out in certain early voting metrics where the mail-in votes are way down in comparison to what was expected from the outset. And it's a mess. I think Joe Biden's campaign, it has made huge mistakes, similarly to Romney's campaign in 2012. And being in the basement, not campaigning like at all, that's really, really bad. And I don't get how a lot of these doomer Republicans, and I wouldn't consider Ben Shapiro to be a doomer on his own, because he's more just cynical. I think there's a difference there. I'll explain it eventually. But yeah, he is cynical and he's more on that doomer side. I can't believe how they're just like, well, people vote against it. I just don't get this entire rigmarole that we go through every 4 years. And the thing is that a lot of this, I think, is just a post hoc explanation, because he was saying these same things, Ben Shapiro was, this is 4 years ago in 2016, he was saying the same things. And, you know, when it turned out to be wrong in 2016, he went back and he said, well, no, I was still right about it being a referendum. It being a referendum. I just thought it was a referendum against Trump, but it was actually a referendum against Hillary Clinton the entire time. And if he's wrong again, well, I think there's a large chance he is. He's just going to make the same argument that it was a referendum on Biden. I think it will be a much harder argument to make, because what is there to be a referendum? What is there about Biden that there is even a referendum to have? I mean, he's literally an empty suit. That's his entire brand, essentially. An empty suit with some level of charisma. That is, of course, waned by the fact that he just doesn't have a brain that is functioning currently. Yeah, and I hate these post hoc explanations. It happens all over the place. You get it with polling too. People being like, oh, the 2016 polling was fine. Did you see the last polls that they released? You know, after they had already gotten early voting results and, you know, the election had already essentially begun. I fail to see how that is relevant, because obviously when you have data that is actual voting, you're going to get a more accurate poll, because you're basing it on actual data rather than assumptions about who's actually going to vote this time around. And so it's of course the polls near the election are going to be more accurate. They have more data. They are more capable of actually presenting reality as it is than any poll before October. You know, before early voting data starts coming in. And it's just, it's terrible. So anyway, I'm out.